now we're going to start talking about the quadratic formula. That's really what the rest of the packet is about. This is the quadratic formula. There's a cute little song that goes with it. If you know Pop Goes the Weasel, like all around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel, the monkey thought that all was fun. Pop goes the weasel. Same thing here. It says x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And don't you worry, I'll sing it for you multiple times in the next few lessons. Okay, so but the question is why? Why do we have this formula? What do we use it for? And if we had not been, if we'd been in the classroom, you would have figured this out at some point, like why it's important. But really, I just need you to know how to use it at this point before you get to geometry. And so we use it because when you solve by factoring, you're actually finding the x-intercepts of a parabola. So if I look at this one, x squared minus 6x plus 8, I can factor that. What multiplies to give me 8 as to give me 6 is going to be x minus 4 and x minus 2. Because negative 4 times 2 is negative, or positive 8. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. So you have this, and we're going to, just like we did yesterday, that equals 0. And so you get x equals 4, and you get x equals 2. Well, technically, if you got a graphing calculator and graphed this, or if we had learned how to graph parabolas better, you would find out that at 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a dot at the number 4, and there's a dot at the number 2, and those are called x-intercepts. And so when you solve by factoring, you're actually finding what those x-intercepts are. And so this parabola is nice, and it goes like this. So it's nice when they factor because it gives you the x-intercept. Well, lots and lots and lots of times in your further math classes, they ask you to analyze graphs. And so if you look at this and you say, okay, do I know something that gives me negative 4 but adds to give me 2? And the answer is no, you don't. If you graph this on a graphing calculator, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, this is kind of low. And there would be a little dot here and a little dot here. And what happens is it goes like right there. And it goes right there. And so it doesn't actually hit the 1, and it doesn't actually hit the negative 3. And so your question is, what are these points? Like if those were my solutions, if those were my x-intercepts, how do I find them? And you find them by using the quadratic formula. So you would take things in here, and this would give you an answer. So the question, though, is you have all this x squared and 2x and 4, and all of a sudden in this formula, there's no x, there's a b, an a, and a c. So where in the world did those numbers come from? So here is where they come from. Sorry, I have a flip page. If you're going to use the quadratic formula, we're going to do the same one we just did. X squared plus 2x minus 4 equals 0. And then you have, first of all, you have to have it in order. X squared, then the x value, and then the thing that has no x, we call that a constant. And they're in order because then it's in alphabetical order. Your a value is first, so you have a. A is whatever number is in front of x squared, so that would be a 1. So I know that a equals 1. And then b is the second one, which is a positive 2, so b equals 2. And then c, and then c is the last number, but it's subtract 4, so it's c equals negative 4. And that's where you get the numbers from, the a, b, and the c. Now, you'll notice that in this, there are no x values. You should not ever be plugging an x into the quadratic formula. Lots and lots of kids want to do it, but you don't. So the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I'm going to plug those numbers in. I know that b is 2, so I'm going to do negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 4 all over 2 times 1. And if you'll notice, I put lots and lots of parentheses, and that's really, really important, especially when you get to have lots of positives and negatives. So we're going to do a little simplifying. And really, I would do most of this in your head, because when you plug it in the calculator doesn't understand order of operations the way that you do, and you're really more likely to be able to do this by yourself. So negative and a 2 makes a negative 2, plus or minus square root. 2 squared is 4. And now here's the tricky part. Kids, get stuck on this. This, I would do this whole thing all at once. I would look at this and I would say, what's negative 4 times 1? That's negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. Or you could do it this way. A negative and a negative makes a positive, and then 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so make sure you do that in your head. If you plug this whole thing in your calculator, sometimes you get that wrong. And then all over 2 times 1 is 2. Do a little bit more simplifying. You get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 20 divided by 2. And for today, you're done. Now, in a couple days, you're going to learn that this breaks down. There's some simplifying to do, but this is just a poor choice on my part of what to start. So as of today, like you just quit after that. So let's do one more, just so you can practice using it. And you get 3x squared minus 5x minus 3 equals 0. And at this point, I think you should write down what the A, B, and C are. A is 3, B is negative 5, C is negative 3. And you probably have this written down somewhere, but I don't, so I'm going to write it again. X equals negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. And then we're going to plug these numbers in. So we get x equals negative 5 plus or minus, okay, I'm going to go back when I'm done with this. And you get negative 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 3 all over 2 times 3. So we're going to do some simplifying, and then we got to tell you why there's 2 answers. I totally forgot in the last one. A negative and a negative makes a positive 5. Plus or minus, and then negative 5 squared. Negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. Fun fact about quadratic formula, this first term is always, 100% of the time positive, because squares are always positive. And then I'm going to do this chunk right here. Negative 4, well, I personally would do negative and a negative makes a positive. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. All over 2 times 3 is 6. And so then I'm going to do 5 plus or minus the square root. 25 plus 36 gives me 61 all over 6. And this is your answer. Now, this is what I failed to do in the last one. When we did solve by factoring, you had 2 answers every time. Like I have mine on my screen still. When you did solve by factoring, that x equals this, x equals this. So the question is, and when you look at this parabola, it hits 2 times. So where are the 2 answers? Well, this is a bunch of laziness on our part, but everybody does it this way. Technically, this says you have an answer at 5 plus the square root of 61 divided by 6, and you have 5 minus the square root of 61 divided by 6. But the only difference in these 2 answers is the plus sign and the minus sign. So we introduce this sign right here that says plus or minus. So it's just kind of a lazy way to say, hey, we have 5 plus this divided by 6 or 5 minus this divided by 6. And so we write it that way. If you look at some other videos, they might write it this way, but your choice.